everyone, and welcome back to TeqTalk, where we explore latest trends and innovations. I am Jazz Kaur, your host, and today's episode we are diving into the impactful world of patient support programs and how AI is helping pharma reshape patient care. I'm thrilled to have with me today David Manenti, a senior pharmaceutical leader, over 20 years of experience in this industry. David has been at the forefront of patient-centric strategies, leading PSPs and omni-channel marketing initiatives at major pharma companies like Teva and Biogen. So recently he started his own consulting to support pharma firms and startups. Let's get started. Hi David, how are you today? And welcome to the show.
Hi, Jazz. Thank you for having me. I'm doing very well in Toronto. Sunny time today.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. So, David, to start with, could you share a bit about your journey in the pharma industry?
Yes, of course. So I'm David Manenti. I am a 20 plus years senior farm leader. I had 17 years at several years at Biogen and other industries, other companies. I spent more than 10 years in marketing, different roles from product manager to marketing director, 10 years in sales from reps to a national sales director, and some position at the medical level to MSL, CRA, and things like that.
Yeah, that's so inspiring, David. You have got an extensive experience over 20 years in this pharma world. So let's talk something about PSP, right? So PSP today is having very significant impact, especially it is crucial in managing chronic conditions and for example, arthritis, diabetes, and all of that. So, in your experience, how do you think it has changed the way pharma used to operate before and now?
I would have 2 years. First, how it used to operate before and now, and maybe how it used to operate in Europe and in North America, because I spent a lot of my career in Europe, and it's not the same business in terms of access to PSPs. So I would say not so far away, not so far ago, 5 years ago maybe, PSPs were one size fits all tools. When you were a patient, you commit to a PSP, and it was a program that you were involved in. Very useful, to be honest, very useful. But sometimes, even if you didn't need anything, you had some call or some message which were not relevant to you. Today, thanks to AI, is everywhere, and in PSP, you have tailor-made PSP for each and every patient, actually. And this is more powerful, I think, and less overwhelming for patients who doesn't really need to be followed.
Yeah. And I think there are a lot of new programs have been introduced. Organizations are really taking good advancements of PSP, right? What I have seen that 24/7 nursing support, financial advices, and which is causing adherence in the patient's support and also in the patients are getting empowered more and more and getting satisfied more and more because of this feature. So, could you share some of the functional ways you see PSP is supporting patients in their whole journey of the treatment?
Definitely.
Yeah.
PSP is in pharma companies. PSP is always the first post in terms of investment, I would say, and it's critical because when an HCP prescribe a drug, particularly when it's about chronic disease, prescribe the drug to a patient, the first way to profit of the efficiency of the drug is to take it. So PSP are there to increase the adherence of patient, and first with educational PSPs offers educational resources to help patients understand their condition, treatment plan, and the importance of adhering to prescribed regimen. So PSP empower, as you said, empower patients to make informed decisions about their health. You can, for instance, some PSPs, each PSP, to be honest, can send messages when it realizes, thanks to AI, when it realizes that a patient is at risk of dropping out, of his drug. So the PSP can send an SMS message or an application message. Even you can have a call, a follow-up calls in order to remind you to take your medication, which is very important. You can have two other functionalities in PSPs. Last one maybe if you want, but other logistics. Some PSPs offer you to your drug at home, or even to help you with your transportation for clinical visit. So it can be, when it comes to make life of patient easier, are here. And the more the experience with the program and with the drug is flawless for the patient, the more you can be confident that he will take his drug, his medication.
Yeah. So basically, PSP is really helping patients to have the adherence of medications and improve their dosage, and so that they are following a proper routine. They're also getting some kind of financial aid, those who follow, those who are not eligible or those who do not have the capacity to buy, they are getting financial support as well. And I think they are also getting some kind of emotional support as well, right? So would you like to discuss something?
Even in Canada, you can have the case where it can help between the so-called bridge program. It can help between the reimbursement of the drug and the drug approval, the market approval from health authorities. So you can have this lapse of time without reimbursement, and the PSP can be involved in this lapse of time.
So PSP is mostly for the chronic diseases, right? Is it, or is it only, or is it for non-chronic diseases as well? So
It's more chronic diseases, but some non-chronic diseases can be involved, like a major depressive event, the depressive event, but it's for 6 month treatment. It's not really chronic because it's for 6 months, but yes, it's more appropriate for chronic disease.
yeah, so mostly it is for the long-term treatment plan or something like that, where they can support patient in a much better way emotionally and with the processes. That's nice. And as we have already seen that AI has really started revolutionizing each of the industries, and pharma is not lagging behind, right? So pharma is equally getting benefited from the AI advancements. So from the functional perspective, David, how do you see AI is really helping PSPs offer by offering more personalized and proactive inputs to the patients?
First and foremost, when you think about AI, you think about personalization.
Right.
And AI helps PSPs tailor the interaction by analyzing data to customize support based on individual needs, preferences, and the treatment plans. And thus, AI can analyze patient data to identify some patterns that suggest patient might be at risk of dropping out, as I said. And this is thanks to some data that are provided by the patient to the PSP, and that are treated by the PSP and by AI, and to identify that the patient is at risk. It can even identify when a patient is having a serious adverse event, can identify and trigger a call, a check call, in order to be sure that everything is okay, and even cascade to a human interaction sometimes.
Yeah. So, do you think AI is involved a lot and it is really helping the team of inside pharma industry and helping in automation, saving time, cutting cost, and increasing the efficiency of people?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. When you're a patient, particularly when you have a severe chronic disease, you want to have flawless experience with your disease, as flawless as possible, because it's not easy conditions.
Right.
So if you are a pharmaceutical professional, you want your patient be in good condition, be in good shape. So this is in best shape as possible. So this is a good way for the industry to be sure that the patient is doing as good as possible.
Yeah. So AI is used everywhere within pharma, right? We have just discussed the PSP. So it is within the marketing and sales as well. And we know that you have a great experience in that space as well. So how can AI really help these teams better understand the patient's needs and engage with the healthcare providers in a much, much efficient ways?
AI can analyze large data set, and analyzing large data set, which include demographic, behavioral, and treatment related data, and you can identify segments, patient segments. And I talked to you about patient segment, the patient segment of patient at risk of dropping out, other patient segments. So you can deliver tailor message to the patient. The marketing team can prepare a dedicated message for this for this specific target, for this specific segment, sorry, and to be more relevant in the message that they will propose. This is one example, but you have other example like, NLP, natural language processing. You can, thanks to NLP, it can analyze patient and HCP feedback from social media and online forums to gauge sentiment through sentiment analysis. And actually, often, and this is some of the criticism that we had even in Europe, you tend to send too many messages to patients. And the sentiment of patients and the HCPs is they begin to be overwhelmed with the mass of messages that you send them, and you can readjust the quantity and I would say the frequency of this message. This is an example.
Yeah.
Similarly, I can analyze patterns in patient behavior across different stages of the health journey, the famous patient journey. And thus, the marketing team, for example, can understand the patient touch points where support or intervention is most valuable. These are things like this, and actually, there is several other examples where marketing can use and can profit of the. But to summarize, AI enables marketing team to address each patient in a tailor-made fashion, that I told you at the very beginning, instead of a one-size-fits-all approach.
Yeah, that's a good insight. So AI has, we know that incredible potential, and but I'm sure there are a lot of challenges as well, especially in such kind of sensitive industry, right? So what functional challenges you think are there in making AI enhanced PSP, which is user friendly and which is accessible for the patients as well?
Yeah, there is several challenges. First, something that we don't often see when we move to AI technologies is the technical aspects. One of the main challenge is data integration and interoperability. Since AI in PSPs often relies on integrating data from multiple sources, such as electronic health records, wearables. Now it's more and more coming, the wearables, and patient-reported outcomes. So you have to be cautious about it and to anticipate it. And one of my big recommendation will be to invest in a robust data integration solutions, and I'm sure that you're going to be okay with it, to partner with healthcare IT vendors.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we cannot overlook the data concerns and especially data privacy as well. So, what do you think the pharma companies should do to balance the impactful PSP while maintaining the patient confidentiality and data privacy intact? Both of those things in balance.
Yes, complying with a regulation like HIPAA in US or GDPR in Europe, it's critical, and it's the complexity to complexity actually. And this is something which is crucial. To answer your question, companies must implement strict data security protocols, such as encryption, access control, and regular audits, using privacy preserving techniques like anonymization, federated learnings, which is technical ML, that allow not to share data samples, and differential privacy, which is a mathematic model which allows not to share data too. The AI can, using these techniques, it still allow AI models to learn from patient data because it's preserving the privacy of the patient.
Right. And looking ahead, what do you think is going to be the future of PSP? What kind of more advancements and what kind of more investments can be done within PSP section so that it gives more impact to the patients?
So PSP, I would say, quite mature, but AI is not. We are at the beginning of the artificial intelligence era.
Right.
I think that near future, not in the long-term future, but even in the near future, everything is going to be more hyper. I want to say hyper personalization. And you are talking about chatbot at the beginning. We will have in the future more accurate conversational AI support. But I think that it's just improvement that we will have in the near future. But something which will be disruption in the coming years, it's about the integration of the wearables in several therapeutic areas. And AI will continuously monitor monitoring of patient metrics, and it will enable PSPs to send real-time alerts thanks to these wearables. Wearables can be your smartwatch. Wearables can be a lot of things actually, and I know that Stanford, MIT, and a lot of other institutions are working on it in order to develop the wearable of tomorrow. And today, and it can be devices too, not only wearables, but for severe asthma people, you can have the device which counts the regimen, the doses that you have taken. So things like that. So I think that it will be in some therapeutic areas, not in asthma because it's always here, not in Europe, in the North America, but it's going to be not a revolution, but a huge disruption.
Yeah. So with MIT, it ring my bell that you have recently got some kind of AI certification. Would you like to talk about that and how it is going to benefit to you? So would like to know more on that.
Yes, actually, I had two certification, one more technical in order to understand the intimacy of AI. And it reminded me my engineering school when I was younger because it was a lot of mathematics. It was understanding algorithm models, and I even had to create some models, not for the pharma or that way. Yes, it was. It was very handsome. But I wanted, to have another thing a little bit more high level in order to understand specifically and something dedicated to pharma. So I had another certificate, still at MIT. And it was very interesting because it allowed me it enabled me, sorry, to understand that all the fields where I can apply in pharma and biotech. And it's crazy. We are talking about PSP, but drug discovery, is certainly the key area for pharma in terms of AI.
I think that's a very good point you have stated that drug discovery, which right now takes around 10 years or so, right, to get the drug into market. So really AI can help in shortening this time span to a couple of years and it'll really be an achievement. And I think that the work has already been started towards it, right?
Exactly. And even now, FDA is beginning of thinking programs with AI involved in it. So that means that it's not only a fantasy of a pharmaceutical firm, it's it's concrete application and in a near future, we will have several drugs that will be launched thanks to AI. It's already the case in some case, but it's going to be more and more in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I completely agree on that fact. So, for organizations who are just beginning with AI, right? And especially the pharma organizations. So, what are the practical steps you would like to recommend them to focus on so that their programs are more patient centric and more efficient?
I think that you have to first, when you want to develop an AI PSP or when you want to launch in AI in general, you have to have clear objectives
Yeah.
and make use cases. Very important because you have to know why you do this. You don't have to have AI activities just because this is the hype currently.
Yeah.
It has to be an objective, not a mean. You have to find a mean, sorry, and not an objective. So you have to find the reason why you want to. You have to cut. You have to. This as you have to cut this. And I come back. So AI. The first point is define clear objectives and have a use case because you have to understand why you want to develop and to deploy AI activities. AI is not an objective. It has to be a mean and in order to serve an objective. So you have to understand this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's a very valid point. I would like to summarize that create use case, first set an objective and then create use case and then start from there. AI, yeah, the other very catchy statement you have said, that AI is not an objective. AI is just a means to achieve that objective.
Exactly.
Yeah, very valid point.
This is very important. Later, you have to develop robust data strategy, as I told, and I think that involve dedicated vendor can be a good way, because even if we often have relevant IT team in-house, if you want to be very AI focused, maybe that you have to have a very good specialist, and maybe you can integrate them in your team in the future. But first, be sure to be supported by vendors, healthcare IT vendors. The third point, very important, and we talk about it, and this is a big challenge regarding it, ensure data privacy and compliance from the start.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you will talk to your legal and regulatory guys in your team about it, they will say you, but are you sure that data privacy, are you sure that this is compliant, are you sure that from a regulatory point of view? So this is very important.
Yeah, absolutely. I think all the points which you have said are. David, thank you so much for sharing the insights. Before we wrap up, is there any final thought which is coming in your mind for the pharma leaders who are looking into this podcast? And what are your recommendations or suggestions?
My final thought would be one that I was taught a long time ago in a certificate in patient-centric strategy at INSEAD in Europe. It's what is good for the patient is good for the business. And you have to think this way and not the opposite way. If you think this way, everything that you will do, including PSP, is going to be the PSP that you are going to build with this mindset is going to be tremendous and very profitable for the patient. So you have to think this way. This is my point of view.
Yeah, thank you so much. And that was very well said, David. It was an absolute pleasure having you on the show. Thank you for sharing your journey and all the insights.
Thank you, Jay. My pleasure.
Thank you.